Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Unique Morris Hughes, and not only do I have the pleasure of serving as the director of the DC Department of Employment Services, but I'm also the proud mom of a strong and sassy and fierce 6-year-old little girl. And I remember, almost 7 years ago, being excited and nervous and full of lots of feelings and looking forward to my baby shower. Now, here we are on our second virtual DC Citywide baby shower, sponsored by our very own DC Department of Employment Services Office of Paid Family Leave. And we are excited about this year's event. But first things first, we have an exciting new prenatal benefit that we want everyone to know about. This year, we started offering a prenatal benefit, which allows expecting mothers up to 2 weeks of leave, paid time off, to care for themselves and attend any medical appointments that are necessary. This is huge. Now moms don't have to worry about taking time off to go to very important medical appointments prior to the birth of their child or children. Additionally, we've expanded medical leave to up to 6 weeks. This means that families can also take time off to care for themselves and for loved ones. I want you to know at home or at work that we at the DC Department of Employment Services are working very hard to expand our medical leave program and provide benefits to families that need them. Today is a special day, and not only do I hope that you have an opportunity to learn from experts, influencers, and parents, but you will have an opportunity to get valuable insight and understand all of the amazing benefits and resources we have here in the District of Columbia. I want to thank you again for taking this ride with us, for participating in our second virtual citywide DC baby shower. And as always, I wish everyone well and good health. Take care.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. LaQuandra Nesbitt, the Director of DC Health. I want to say congratulations to all the expecting and new parents attending DC's citywide virtual baby shower. Whether you're feeling nervous or excited about this new chapter in your life, I want to ensure you that the district has a wealth of resources to support you and your family along this journey. For instance, on DC Health's website, you can learn more about in-home wellness visits and supplemental nutrition programs that you may qualify for, like DC WIC, or even how to get your baby's birth certificate through the mail from our Vital Records Division. Visit dchealth.dc.gov to gain access to these programs and services. DC Health is committed to ensuring that every infant, mom, dad, and caregiver has a safe and healthy environment to thrive and receive the support they need so that your baby can be the future director of DC Health or anything they want to be. I hope you have a wonderful time learning from parenting experts today, and I hope you gain a wealth of knowledge as you move to this new stage in your lives. Again, congratulations and be well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the DC Citywide Virtual Baby Shower hosted by the Office of Paid Family Leave at the DC Department of Employment Services. I am your host, Feeny Freeman, and I have the pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much for joining us as we celebrate the launch of the prenatal leave benefits. As you know, the paid family leave launched in July of 2020, and caring for our parents and ensuring that DC workers have time off to care for themselves, them loved ones, and that they do not have to make a difficult choice. We are here today to make sure that you understand all of the benefits of being a DC worker that you are eligible for. I will now turn it over to my colleague, Michael Henderson from the Office of Paid Family Leave.
Hello. Today we're going to provide an overview of the district's paid family leave program. My name is Michael Henderson, and I'm a senior analyst with the Office of Paid Family Leave, and we're going to look at some of the components of the paid family leave program, how it works, and how eligibility may be attained. The paid family leave program is comprised of 4 distinct leave types. Parental leave, where you can bond with a newborn child in your family. Family leave, where you can provide care to a family member who has a serious health condition. Medical leave, where you attend your own serious health condition. And prenatal leave, where you're able to receive medical care related to a pregnancy. And you see that each leave type includes a distinct amount of leave or maximum amount of leave. For parental, it's up to 8 weeks, family leave, 6 weeks, medical leave, 6 weeks, and prenatal leave, 2 weeks. Now, there can be a number of different combinations of leave types. However, in general, the maximum amount of leave that you can receive in a given year is 8 weeks. There are some exceptions to this. For example, when you combine prenatal and parental leave, which would allow you to receive up to 10 weeks of total leave. So again, regardless of the number of total qualifying events, there may be a number of leave that's allowed depending on the combination of leave that's included. So there have been some recent changes to the paid family leave program. So currently there is not a waiting week. Previously, you had to wait up to 7 days before an eligible leave day could receive payment. So now, immediately following your qualifying event and your application for paid family leave, you may apply for benefits and receive payments for those days. We also have included a retroactive period or a look-back period where you can apply for leave up to 30 days in the past without there being a direct impact to the leave that you can be approved for and receive payment for. We also have a longer base period that's currently being used for the program. So previously we looked at the highest 4 of the last 5 completed calendar quarters, and now we're looking at the highest 4 of the last 10 calendar quarters. This change was implemented as a response to the global pandemic and allows for individuals who may have been impacted during the pandemic to have a higher benefit amount potentially. We also increased the amount of leave available to medical leave. So previously we only provided benefits for up to 2 weeks of medical leave, and currently provide leave for up to 6 weeks of qualifying medical leave. So taking a moment to talk about some employer responsibilities under our program. Most employers in the district are already compliant to the first requirement, which is registration. We use the same tax system that the Office of Unemployment Compensation uses, which is the Employer Self-Service Portal, or ESSP. So most employers are already reporting wages and processing their tax payments there. So no changes will be needed in terms of registration if you are an employer and already are registered. The second primary responsibility is the payment of the tax itself. Beginning on July 1st, 2019, our program began to collect tax at a rate of 0.62%, again, to fund the benefit. Our third requirement is the notification requirement, and this is going to be a bit more important as it differs from some of the other programs that are in the District of Columbia. We have a few distinct times that employers are required to provide notice to their employee about our program. So in addition to the labor law posters or flyer or notice that you would post physically in the work site, we also require that you provide notice to your employees at the point of hire. So when you bring them on board, either as part of a welcoming package or an onboarding package, you want to make sure that you include a copy of our notice. You also are required to provide this notice to all employees at least once a year. So annually, you want to provide a copy of this notice as well. This ensures that any updates that may have been made in the previous months will be included and provided to your employees as well. And then finally, you want to make sure that you provide a copy of the notice at any time that your employees make it known that they will need or may need to use our paid family leave program. And then the final responsibility is going to be record keeping. Again, most employers are already compliant with this because these are very similar records that are used for the purposes of unemployment insurance, as well as the Office of Wage Hour Compliance. And an important reminder to keep these records on hand for at least a period of 3 years. Another important component of our program is that we do allow for self-employed individuals to opt in, make contributions on their own behalf, and then receive benefits based on the income that they have reported. So again, this is an opt-in provision. We do have open enrollment periods every November and December of a given year. And then for new self-employed individuals, they do have a special open enrollment period where they can opt in the first 60 days following the commencement of their self-employment income. Again, this is important that when we talk about self-employment income, we're talking about income that would be reportable to the IRS as self-employment income. And again, there is still the requirement that at least half of your time is spent physically operating in the District of Columbia. And now we're going to move into some more details about our benefits in the program. So one of our newer types of leave, prenatal leave, allows for up to 2 weeks of leave for medical care in relation to a pregnancy. And again, that is an important distinction that prenatal leave does require a medical component. So all of our leave type does require some type of documentation. And you see that in this case, we have the PMC or the prenatal medical certification form. And again, the inclusion of a prenatal claim is one of the rare circumstances or the uncommon circumstances where you can exceed the general cap in the program. So for most individuals who might be capped at a total of 8 weeks of leave, the inclusion of prenatal leave does allow for you to go up to 10 weeks under the current program. And then we have parental leave, where you can take up to 8 weeks of leave to bond with a new child, either a biological birth or a child that has joined your family through adoption or foster care. And then we have medical leave, where you can use up to 6 weeks of leave to attend your own serious health condition. And again, similar to the prenatal leave program, documentation is required here, which is the MMC or medical certification form. And then we have family leave, where again, you can use up to 6 weeks of leave to provide care for a family member who has experienced a serious health condition. And the form needed here is the FMC or the Family Medical Certification form. Now let's look at some examples of income. So based on the program itself and how the benefits might be calculated. So in this case, we have Susan, who earns about $20 an hour working at a restaurant. And again, these wages would include tips in terms of the wages that are being reported. This amounts to about an $800 average weekly wage. And then based on our calculation, you get a $720 benefit. Our next example, we have Carlos, who makes about $60,000 as an administrative assistant at a law firm. This amounts to an average weekly wage of $1,150. And then based on our benefit calculation, this would be a $940 benefit. And our final example, we have Tiffany, who earns $100,000 as a bank manager, which would be an average weekly wage of $1,900 and then a weekly benefit of $1,009, which is our current maximum benefit amount. So you see in each of these examples, one, we have a cap at 90% wage replacement. So a lower wage earner will see a higher wage replacement, such as Susan, But then a higher wage earner, such as Tiffany, will see a lower wage replacement because her weekly benefits only $1,009 when compared against her average weekly wage. So she's seeing just under a 50% wage replacement, but she's at our cap. So currently we pay out a maximum of $1,009 per week. So here's a general overview of how the program works. So you experience a qualifying event. And again, it's important to note that you must have an event occur before you can submit a claim for benefits. We do strongly encourage everyone to register an account at any time, but you must have a qualifying event occur first before you can file a claim. Now, the other important piece of this is the coordination with your employer. You want to make sure that you tell your employer about your intent or your need to use paid family leave. Collect all the necessary documents that might be needed. Again, you can go to our website, dcpaidfamilyleave.dc.gov, to download any of the necessary forms that may be relevant to your claim type. And you want to make sure that you file your claim within 30 days of your qualifying event. We do encourage you to file as soon as possible, but you do have that window before there would be any impact to the claim itself. We typically will process this claim within 10 business days and send a notification to both you, the claimant, as well as your employer, as whether or not the claim has been approved. And then once a claim has been approved, you will receive benefits on a bi-weekly payment cycle. So there's the general overview of our program. We strongly encourage you to stay informed and stay connected with us. We highly encourage you to visit our dedicated paid family leave website, which you see here again is dcpaidfamilyleave.dc.gov. And please stay connected to us by email or by phone. By email at does.opfl@dc.gov and by phone at 202-899-3700. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Here at the Office of Paid Family Leave, we are so excited to be able to launch the prenatal leave in March. Now, pregnant individuals are also able to receive leave benefits for medical needs related to their pregnancy. That's huge. It's important that expecting parents prepare themselves mentally and emotionally as they prepare for the birth and in incoming years. Our panel today is full of experts, and they will dive into those topics, as well as some resources available here in the DC area. Please welcome Jackie Page of 93.9 WKYS and our esteemed panel.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Jackie Page from 93.9 WKYS, and thank you for tuning into the DC Citywide Baby Shower brought to you by the DC Office of Paid Family Leave. Now, so far, we've heard about nutrition and some tips on getting through the first year of parenting. In today's panel, we're going to talk about the importance of taking your mental health as you are preparing for baby or when baby is here. So I can't have this discussion by myself. I have a great group of panelists that will be joining me today. So let me go ahead and introduce our esteemed panel. First and foremost, we have Brandy Chantel, educator, author, and founder of Motherhood Reimagined. Also joining today, we have Dr. Nyasha Chikawore, postdoctoral fellow at Capital Center for Psychotherapy and Wellness and author of Giraffe Ask for Help. We also have joining today, Georgette Saad, Senior Early Childhood Manager at Mary Center. Also joining today is Dr. Amber Thornton, host of the Balanced Working Mama podcast. And last but certainly not least, we have Ronnie Webb, founder of The Green Scheme and co-founder of Don't Mute My Health. How's everybody doing today? Good. So let's go ahead and have this conversation. Let's go ahead and get started. And Ronnie, I will start with you. How does having children affect mental health?
It's a great question. I think what children do, I speak for myself. When my son is with me, it's another level of responsibility that your level of responsibility has to raise because you're looking out for more than just yourself, somebody else who depends on you. I think it's one thing, but I think where it really can add pressure to our mental health is when our balance sort of gets disrupted. And when I say that, I mean, you know, from your social life to how you eat, exercise, to your spirituality, those things can sometimes get unbalanced when you are tending to the children. So just making sure that, you know, you really are conscious of those things and making sure that whatever it is you require as an individual to perform at peak, that you're making sure you get yourself set up and you have those type of balances around. So your mental is operating right. Without your mental health right, that goes into your physical health, that goes into the overall performance of just taking care of those kids.
Yeah, most definitely. Dr. Amber Thornton, question for you. What are some ways that new parents can adjust mentally and emotionally to parenthood?
That's a really great question as well. And I would say, you know, the first thing is to remember that adjustment is adjustment. And so it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. And so, you know, really being very gracious with yourself. And if you are partnered with your partner as you all are adjusting to having a new child, because it's something that you will get used to over time, but it really does take some time. And so, you know, with adjusting to that mentally and emotionally, I would say absolutely asking for the help that you need. And so that does require, you know, taking the time to really sit down and think, okay, this is something that I need, or this is something that's coming up for me. This is something that's bothering me, and really being in a place where you're able to communicate that effectively to the people around you. Also, I'm a huge advocate for when you are a new parent, really seeking out mental health therapy. You know, we have tons of therapists on this panel, and we all very much advocate for. This is definitely a time where you might need some extra support. And so seeking out mental health therapy is absolutely a really big, good, healthy way to go to.
You know, speaking about that extra support, you know, we think about family and friends and how they support in this process. Georgette Saad, question for you. What advice do you have for people who are supporting new parents, grandparents, family, friends? What advice would you give the supporting cast?
Absolutely. It's such a great question because we're always ready to support, but we don't always know how to support. So I think the number one thing I tell people is the first thing you want to try to compensate for is sleep. Try to be there so parents can sleep, because there is a myriad of symptoms and difficulties that come just from being overtired. Sleep is probably the single most important indicator for health for anybody, whether you're a parent or not. But when you're a parent, it is scarce, to be certain. So anything you could do to help a parent sleep, even if it's 15, 20 minutes, an hour, take a shower, right? Being there and saying, I can take baby so you can do these things. And by the way, it is acceptable and important and permissible that you go and take care of yourself. They'll be here right when you get back. So I would say that. And the other thing is giving parents concrete ways that you can help them, rather than saying, let me know what you need. A parent does not have the bandwidth to think about that and often feels very guilty about asking for that, but saying, I will bring lunch on Thursday. I will be here from this time to this time to help you do laundry. Concrete things.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Brandy, question for you. What are some things that family and friends should look out for when it comes to supporting, you know, that mom and that new mom and that new dad?
That would be the question that I get. I was just talking with my husband. One of the ways that I know for my husband actually in the home to look out for is when I start to get particularly agitated or irritable, like especially agitated or irritable. It's usually an indicator that I am kind of like crashing internally, that I'm in need of time to myself. So like Georgette mentioned, the ways that like someone can be of support so that they can sleep. Similarly, ways that people can support so that like the parents can step away and not have to be present within the home. My husband, the second I start to just get a little too irritable, he's like, you maybe should go do something. Like, you're right, I'm melting, thank you. So I would say that if it's someone from the outside of the home, I think one of the first things to note is like whether or not you're able to get in touch with that person, if they're able to like advocate for themselves or like reference their capacity. Georgette also mentioned that sometimes parents don't have the bandwidth. So if you're not hearing from them at all, or you're not able to be in touch with them, I think that could be an indicator that you might need to show up. You might need to step in, and of course, like relational capacity permitting, be a presence in a way that they might not be able to request. Similarly, if you see that they're like emotionally just showing instability, which is just common anyway, because hormones are wreaking havoc on mothers in postpartum. So considering ways, as you just said, of providing direct support when they show that like emotionally they are not in a stable place. I know that with my first daughter, I thought that I was like appearing very level-headed, but when I hear it recapped back to me from family members, I was like in a rut, and like a 1 week helicopter mom. And so when you see it, if you have the, you know, the discernment to view it from the outside in, you don't have to tell them this is what I see and I'm concerned. But when you're able to recognize that there is like instability or some lack of support that they're providing for themselves, to just insert yourself.
And just a question for you, how do you do that without being overbearing or seeming like you are being offensive, like asking like, hey, you know, do you need help? Or hey, is everything okay? Because sometimes, like you said, hormones come into play, you're sleep deprived. You may ask the question and the parent may take it the wrong way, but it was never meant to come out the wrong way. And that's just like a question for help.
That's why I actually said relational capacity permitting, because I think you know if you're the person who can't say those things, right? And then the reality is you might be the person who can say those things and it can still come off poorly. And so similarly, I think when you're interacting, you have to also know that you are interacting with someone who just had a baby, right? Or who is supporting someone who just had a baby. And so it's your responsibility to kind of remain neutral and know not to take any of their response or feedback personally. And of course, ideally, I would just hope that whoever is speaking to that person or those parents just does their best to communicate in love. But there's still going to be room for it to be misinterpreted because sleep-deprived brains don't respond rationally in all moments, right? And so you just have to know what you are dealing with and continue to like move through love regardless. I don't think there's like necessarily a formulaic way because there's just too much room for it to go wrong. But I think as long as you're aware, the people who are offering the support of what that person is experiencing, and you just continue to show the support and move through love, then all is well.
Okay. Very good advice right there. I have two friends who have kids, and sometimes I do, like, I question, like, I know you need help. I see that, like you said, there may be a little sleep deprivedness there, but I don't want to be disrespectful or come across rude and saying like, hey, you know, you look a little sleepy. Do you need some help with, like, I don't want to be that friend. So
that's actually why I said, instead of saying what you see, just as Georgette said, just providing the support. So like, you don't necessarily have to justify, just make the offer. And then it's on them, you know, to say whether or not, and if it's really something that is like concerning, then you can like build on that based on how they answer. But I wouldn't even lead with like, girl, you look stressed. You know,
the concrete. Yeah, like Georgette said, the concrete, like, hey, I'm going to take baby at said time, said date, and move forward with that. So yeah, great advice, especially for a friend who has friends now that are, who have babies and trying to be in a supportive capacity. Dr. Chikawore, question for you, leave. Why is it so important that parents take that leave both before the baby is born and then after the baby is born?
Okay. Yeah, great question. I think similar to what everyone is saying, there's so many moving parts when you have a child. For the mom, there's that physical trauma of carrying the baby for 9 months and then going to labor for however many hours. And then there's also that renegotiating of, for one, your identity. As you know, you used to be Jackie, now you are mother of so-and-so. And then also renegotiating what you do with your spouse and your responsibilities and what that looks like for you. So taking that time off just to readjust, as everyone keeps saying, it's an adjustment period, is helpful so that when you do go back into the workforce, you've figured out to some extent how to sleep, how to eat, how to manage yourself, how to practice self-care, and also, you know, hoping that you've found a therapist or continued with a therapist, not only individually, but couples, if you're with someone, to figure out how do we communicate effectively when there's a baby crying and there's lots of feelings and emotions coming up as well.
Yeah. Is there a generalized amount of time that a parent should be taking before and after, or is it different for every parent?
Well, I think part of that deals with the support aspect as well, because, you know, parents look different, especially in this day and age. So it depends, how much support do you have? Do you need to go back to work? I mean, we've seen our counterparts in different countries who don't work for at least a year. Obviously, not everyone has that luxury because there's bills and all kinds of stuff. But I guess it depends on your finances, your support system, the kind of job you're in. Some people are entrepreneurs where they can work from home now and are able to balance some of those things. But I think at the core of it is my body healed, for one, as the mom? And do I feel ready to go back out there and function the way I did before, considering this new person that we've ushered in, or new people, if you have more than one?
Yeah, I love that you said that. There's no black and white to that. It's really like a gray area, and it really depends on, you know, you and your family and what you have going on in your life. Because I think a lot of times, as a society, we kind of get stuck on this, like it has to be this amount of time, it has to be this, and it doesn't. It's, you know, what really works best for you, your family, and what you have going on in your life. So thank you for providing that bit of information. So question for all of the panelists, you know, if you do have a child, I want to know, what does self-care look like in real time for you as a parent? Does anybody want to start first? You can just go ahead and shoot.
Exercising.
Ronnie, go ahead. You were saying exercising?
Yeah, exercising, I think, is, you know, just make sure you have some time to get fit, get your body moving. I think that alters the mind, has a lot of good things to it.
Yeah, I'm a personal trainer, so on a number of different aspects, I completely agree with you. Before you have a baby, after you have a baby, you know, exercise is great for the mental, the physical. So I agree with you 110% on that one. Dr. Thornton, I saw you raise your hand.
Yes, I also agree with exercise. It's something that I do daily, and I've realized that physically it's good for me, but then also mentally, it's really great for me. The other thing I was going to say is self-care for me looks like a lot of things, but one of the big things is always taking advantage of any time that I can have away. And so like really being okay with stepping away if I need to, whether it's 5 minutes just to myself in the bathroom, or whether it's a whole day, you know, if I have childcare for that day, you know, really taking advantage of the time and not feeling guilty about it, and just reminding myself that this is something that I need to refuel so that I can show up really great the next day for my kids.
Yeah, great advice. Brandy, real time, what does self-care look like for you as a parent?
Exactly what everyone else has said. I'm married to a personal trainer, so working out regularly, getting to the gym is really important for me. As Dr. Amber Thornton said, also just making time for myself. For me, really making time for myself outside of the house. And so if I'm realizing that like the gym is my only escape, then I need to figure out somewhere else to go, like ask a friend to meet me for lunch or dinner or something to that extent. And then also like mental health therapy. So speaking with someone, I think it was Georgette who mentioned, possibly, could have really been anybody, but mentioned having counseling for yourself as well as within your relationship. So that's also been really helpful. And then letting the light in. So I'm the person who's going to wake up and open all the blinds, because if I'm not able to get outside, at least the sun is showing up in here.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's something we can all do. Georgette?
Yes, I think that was actually Dr. Thornton who mentioned the therapy, although I'm a big proponent of it. I would say the other thing I would add is tapping out. If you have a partner that you can tap out. It's totally fine. Just do it. And the other thing that I think is, this is really hard for me personally, and so I just put that out there to be transparent. Meditation and mindfulness is extremely helpful, and it's really difficult for a lot of people. It's definitely difficult for me. One way that I have found, like kind of skirting into it in a what feels safer way, I think in a more settling way, is choosing one song and just sitting still and listening to the duration of the song. Don't multitask, don't talk, just sit and listen to the duration of that one song. And having that space can just free up some capacity in ways that might not otherwise be accessible if you only have 3 minutes.
Yeah, great advice from everybody. Really, really great advice. You all are in different walks of life. You're doing a lot of different things. You know, a lot of different people. And, you know, one of the reasons that we came together is really to be a resource to, you know, the new parents. So I want to just touch on that really quickly. What are some of the resources that you are aware of that new parents can use? Dr. Chukwuwere, I want to start with you.
Sure. Well, I'll definitely plug the private practice where I am. We're located on 13th and U. It's called Capital Center for Psychotherapy and Wellness. We do provide individual, family, couples counseling, as well as group therapy. So we do have women's groups, men's groups. We also have groups based on identity, like queer groups, that anyone can join at any time. And in terms of therapy, we do offer reduced fee therapy. So on a sliding scale for those, you know, who may not have insurance or your insurance doesn't cover therapy, as we know, sometimes that is the case. So Capital Center for Psychotherapy and Wellness, right here in DC.
Thank you for sharing. Georgette, resources.
Absolutely. So I work at Mary Center, where we have a perinatal mental health program. We also offer therapy and support across the lifespan. Tons of parenting groups, especially since we've kind of transitioned into the pandemic. We have an abundance of parenting groups, and they can be as intensive or not as parents want them. And so I think that's really important. Connecting to DC MAP is a really good entry point. Help Me Grow is a hotline that you can connect to say, hey, like something's going on with my kid, or I need something. You just call them, they can connect you to resources. I also do work in a private practice, a sibling group, where we offer support as well for therapy and counseling. And then one larger organization that I'll offer is not talking about it a lot, but is phenomenal. It's called Mother Nation. They are in the process of rebranding a little bit to be much more inclusive across gender expression and identification and intersectionality, but Mother Nation is a phenomenal resource to connect parents with each other in a network.
Yeah,
so I would say those things. Mm-hmm.
No, thank you for all of those. Ronnie, resources.
I would just highlight all of the resources that some of the other panelists just brought up. And what I would like to also do is encourage some of the fathers out here. There are some groups out here doing some fatherhood groups, whether it's very organized or whether it's not as organized. But I definitely would encourage just fathers to tap in a little bit, see what's going on out there. Don't feel like we're left out of the loop. There's resources stuff out there. So Google, do your research, see what your city and your community already has existing, and tap in.
Yeah, thank you, Ronnie. Brandy.
I initially thought I only had my workshop to reference, but Ronnie, thank you for reminding me. A fatherhood resource I would recommend is the Dad Gang. They're on social media and they have their own website, but they have a lot of like community-based meetings and things like that. I believe they're based in New York City, and then they have branches out in other areas. So I would encourage, if you're someone from the father side of things, to look into that. I was just gonna note, I have a workshop called Motherhood Reimagined. It's a one-time workshop, it's 3 hours. And it's interactive, community-based, and we just take a moment to really look at how motherhood influences like our habits and our lifestyle choices, and then essentially figure out what we need to do to realign and come back as like our best self, or living like our best life, so to speak. You leave with a 30+ page workbook. It's filled with writing prompts that just encourage you to do some exploration on your own time. And then we also have a private Facebook group where we continue the conversations, just kind of talk through how we are actually putting into practice some of the things we talk about within the workshop.
Thank you for sharing both of those. Really appreciate it. And Dr. Thornton, resources.
Yes, absolutely. I love all these resources. So I will add, for anyone who enjoys podcasts, I do have a podcast called the Balanced Working Mama Podcast. And the goal of the podcast is to help working moms to find the balance and wellness in motherhood. And that's so important because, as we know, once we have babies, sometimes it seems like that's no longer a priority, but it truly still is. And so the podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, really anywhere that you listen to podcasts. With that, we also have a community a virtual community for moms called the Balanced Working Mama Community. And so, our community is one that you can come and be in it for as long as you like. The goal is similar, to help mamas find the balance and wellness in motherhood. We have about 75 members currently, and we're hoping to grow this year. So if it's something that you feel connected to, we'd love to have you.
A lot of different resources available, parents. There's no excuse why you don't have what you need, because everything is out here for you. So get connected. Question for everybody at this point, and Dr. Chikawore, I'll start with you. What is the single best piece of advice that you have for parents as they embark on this new parenthood journey?
Right. I think, again, the theme, ask for help as best as you can. I know I've heard from a lot of friends that, they'll get calls from people mostly asking about the baby, but there's still this person that's there. So being able to advocate for yourself and saying, hey, I want to come to happy hour. I'm still an adult. I'm still your friend. Yes, I have this baby, but I'm still this person that you knew before. So being able to advocate and also ask for help.
Thank you. Great advice. Brandy, what advice would you give?
Specific to first-time mothers, I would say to prepare for postpartum. I think a lot of times first-time mothers prepare for delivery, and they are so psyched out about what it is going to look like to deliver a baby. And what oftentimes gets neglected is what is going to happen after the baby arrives. And so consider, when you talk about Nyasha, when you reference support, whether or not you want a postpartum doula, whether or not it might help to have meals prepped and have people bring things that are frozen and in the freezer, so that cooking or eating rather is easy. Consider whether or not you and your spouse want to in advance discuss like who will do what in the nighttime and like what your sleep schedules are going to look like. I think having really finite conversations about what your postpartum experience is going to look like, particularly for first-time mothers, is really important, so that you aren't kind of caught blowing in the wind when the time actually comes. Preparing for that is essential.
Yeah, most definitely. Dr. Saad, what advice would you give?
I would say forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, forgive yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. Kids are extraordinarily forgiving, and it's really just important to rewind and recalibrate. It's not going to be perfect. There's a lot of loss and grief in parenthood, what you think is going to happen and what actually does happen. So forgive yourself. It's okay, and you can rewind and recalibrate.
I had a best friend tell me, it's along the same lines of what you said, as far as forgiving yourself, is give yourself some grace. And that was one of the things that she had. She took sticky notes and wrote them around her place. It was just give yourself some grace, to remind herself, like you said, is just to forgive yourself. Like, it's okay. You're learning this, you're learning. Every day is a new day. So I love that you said that, because like I said, I just think about what my best friend did. Dr. Thornton, what advice would you give?
Yes, I really love the advice that's already been given, but I think the thing that comes to mind for me is remembering how you are going to prioritize your own wellness. Mm-hmm. And so, similar to what was said, I think when we have babies, the people around us are so excited about the baby and, wanting to hold the baby. What does the baby need? But in the midst of that, I don't want our new parents to forget that they also have needs, and it is okay to make those needs a priority as well, because baby ultimately will always be taken care of. But the thing that we forget is that we forget to take care of ourselves. So it's okay to take a moment to go take a shower. It's okay to take a moment to eat. It's okay to, have childcare and then go eat dinner with your friends, whatever it is that you need in that moment to take care of yourself. And that will change, as you journey through postpartum, but then also in your journey of parenthood, whatever your wellness looks like, make sure that you make it a priority so that you can have it.
Absolutely love that. Want to get a dad's perspective on this. Ronnie, what advice would you give?
I like the last comment that was made. I thought that was bullseye. Prioritizing your health. I think that as a parent, male or female, it's going to take a toll on you. Your energy, different stuff is going to be sort of knocked out of the loop. And I think it's a constant being able, and I heard this in another comment too, just being able to rejuvenate, being able to heal, And I personally believe that it's just through health. So being a healthy individual, I feel like will help you be a better parent, but it will help you continue to grow and have the experience that you really want to get out of parenting.
Yeah, all great advice from everybody. Thank you all so much for coming in today and sharing your expertise as well as your own personal stories and your own personal journeys. There are parents, you're not alone. If you're watching this, if you're feeling like, hey, I can't do it, nobody else has ever done this before. No, as you can see, there are panelists here that are telling you there are a lot of people that have done this and they have done it effectively and done it well, and you can as well. Okay, so you're not alone in this. Once again, like I said, I want to thank you for joining us for the DC Citywide baby shower. Congratulations on your little one. And now let's get back to the rest of the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to our panel for such a great conversation. Wow, I learned so much. The journey to parenthood can be both joyful and, let's be honest, it can be intimidating. Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. Our next guest is Dr. Yolandra Hancock, and she'll bring to you 5 things that she wishes she knew before she ventured into parenthood.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Yolandra Hancock. I'm a mommy and a pediatrician. First and foremost, I want to say congratulations. Yay! You are now a mommy, a daddy, a co-parent, and you have allowed for 9 months this little one to grow and develop, and now they're here. So now the question is, what's next? What I want to talk about are the 5 things I wish someone had told me in this journey of parenthood. And these are the things that I want to share with you, things I share with my parents when they come in for their first baby visit. And it's not going to be all that clinical stuff like development and feeding. That stuff you'll get from your pediatrician, you'll get it from the internet, what to expect when you're expecting. All of those are amazing resources to get some of that nitty gritty bread and butter stuff. I want to talk about the things that we don't discuss, the things that I think all parents should really have conversations about that allow us to show up as our true authentic selves as parents. The first is to recommend that you lean into your support system. Well, Dr. Hancock, and I'm going to sometimes refer to myself as Dr. Yola because that's who I'm known as in social media. So Dr. Yola, what does that mean? What it means is this: in pregnancy particularly, so I'm going to talk to the parents who carried a baby for 9 months. In pregnancy, it can be a very isolating experience. Although you may have friends, family members, loved ones that are right there with you, it's you, your body, and this growing fetus inside you. And you are the one at the end of it all that pushed this baby out into this amazing and crazy world, right? And there are things that we go through in pregnancy that no one else can understand. Pregnancy is like a fingerprint. Everyone has a unique experience. And although you may have had other friends that were pregnant, each experience is different. But then the baby comes, right? That's when it's really time to engage, involve, include your social network. That means your significant other, family members, friends. Now, when I moved out to the DMV from California, so originally I'm from Louisiana, so you'll notice a little twang, raised in Southern California and then moved out here. When I had my daughter almost 10 years ago, I didn't really have anyone here in the area. So trying to find folks to connect with, to really talk through, especially those first few critical weeks, was very, very difficult. I found myself in my head a lot, talking through things and having all these crazy expectations of myself without having a space to check in to make sure that how I thought I should be parenting was actually how I should be parenting, even as a pediatrician, right? So I want you to connect to those good friends that have successfully navigated through raising a baby, right? Or having a baby. Not the ones who read on the internet. What I saw on Twitter was, you don't base your parenting on what people read, what they think should happen. You really think through, who are my friends? Who are my family members that I admire that have done this well so that I can connect with them? Who do I trust and who brings in positive energy to help support me in this parenting journey? You don't have to do this by yourself. Even if you are parenting alone, still connect with others so that you have someone you can talk to, someone that you can just vent with, and somebody occasionally who can tag in and take over the responsibility of the baby so that you can actually get some sleep. There is no weakness in asking for help. And that's something that I struggled with, particularly as women of color. We are raised to be strong and resilient, but that comes at a price. And so I'm giving you permission. I'm giving you permission to lean in. All right. So that's number one. Number two, to remind yourself, this is about persistence, not perfection. You can imagine for me as a pediatrician becoming a mommy, I had all these expectations for myself. I was going to, I'm going to breastfeed and the angels are going to sing and she's just going to latch immediately. That didn't happen, y'all. That I would be able to be like the people I see on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, where within 2 weeks, my body snatched and the baby sleeping through the night. That's all smoke and mirrors. It really is. It's taking it day by day, hour by hour, sometimes even minute by minute, because my little one had all the things: milk protein allergy, reflux, colic, you name it, she had it. Of course, as a pediatrician's baby, right? And I took it day by day. There were certain days I really beat myself up because I felt like I should be doing it better. There is no better. It is your best, whatever your best is for that day. And I'd have a conversation with my daughter and I would say, listen, Malasana, this is as good as we're getting today. Nobody's getting a wipe down. Nobody's getting a shower. We're in survival mode today because you kept me up all night. And it's okay because tomorrow is a new day. All right. So remember, persistence, not perfection. The third thing that I want us to really think through is having a good connection with the person that you may have decided to co-parent with, right? Having conversations with them about how you're going to navigate through this. And sometimes it may mean a release, right? It's really making decisions that keep your baby at the center. That's what I always thought through in my connection with my daughter's father, my now ex-husband. That's a whole nother video. But we made decisions about how we would co-parent, right? Every decision that I made, what I ate was made based on thinking about my daughter, relationships, friendships, family relationships, all of those things were based on my daughter. She was at the center of every single decision that I made, even in how I co-parented with her father. So that third thing is keeping your child at the center of every single decision that you make. The fourth is learning from your parenting, how you were parenting, but not necessarily repeating it. My mother is one of the most, if not the most resilient woman I know. Pregnant at 14, had me at 15, and knocked it out of the park. Whether she was 15 or 35, there were decisions that she made, some ways that she parented that weren't the most ideal, and others that were amazing. And so what I did in thinking about how I was going to parent my daughter was I pulled out all that good stuff. And I talked to my mommy about some of the highlights of her parenting. But we also had to have some real conversations about some of the less ideal ways in which I was parented so that I did not follow in some of those footsteps, right? Because we may go through some trauma in our lives as we grow up, but that does not necessarily mean that we have to push it on to that next generation. I was very purposeful in paying attention to that, and I want you guys to do the same. There's certain things that were triggered when I had my daughter. In full disclosure, I was molested when I was a little girl. And it made me not trustful of people, even her father in the middle of our marriage. There were all these things that kept entering into my mind because of that I did not expect. No one talked to me about it. There was no conversation about it, but it was a real part of my reality in the first months of having my daughter that I really had to deal with. I ended up going back into therapy. And again, I have no shame in my game. I will let you know that I tapped all the way in. I leaned all the way in to help me navigate through it. And so the experiences that we had as children can be strong and facilitate our strength, but sometimes it affects us deeply and we won't know it until we become parents ourselves. And so it's really thinking through what was our experience like as children? What do we do better? And what are the things that we emulate because we loved how our parents worked through it? And then the last thing that I would say is get professional help when you need it. We do not talk enough about things like postpartum depression. And it doesn't even have to be that extreme, right? Like I experienced postpartum depression. Like I was a crying, just ball of tears. And I thought something was wrong. Again, it was about those expectations I had of myself and how I was going to do this so phenomenally well. And I had to be honest with myself, Yolandra, you need help. And so I reached out to my therapist when my daughter was about 3 weeks old. It wasn't my OB who asked me. It wasn't her pediatrician. And I love them both to pieces. It ended up being me having to navigate through the system and advocating for myself. But you shouldn't have to do that. It's our responsibility as healthcare professionals to partner with you in this. And I understand the distrust of the medical system. Women of color, we know, are more at risk for our children being taken from us, child protective services being involved. That's an unfortunate reality for a lot of us. And as a physician, I'm fully aware of the distrust that we collectively have as women of color. And it's something that we together have to work through. But I don't want you to have to wait until you fully trust the system to tap in. Find the folks who you connect with. Make sure the pediatrician that you have, you can talk to them openly and honestly, right? Your OB, whoever you have in your circle. And even if you don't have a healthcare professional that you trust, tap into a friend who may, because you don't have to do this on your own, especially when you find that you really know that you need help. You're feeling emotionally heavy. You're not able to connect with your baby in the way that you expect it to. You may be dealing with some anger, some serious depression. All of those things are signals to get help. And that's what we're here for, sis. That's what we're here for, brother. So, all parents can experience it. Fathers, mothers, co-parents, we all can experience it. And it's important to acknowledge that there's stigma involved and we need to deal with it and address it. But we also have to be willing to be vulnerable. And I had to, trust me, it was hard. As a pediatrician, there were all these conversations I had in my head about what I should be, who I should be, and how I should be showing up. But I recognized that I was also human. And I leaned in. And because of that, for the rest of the 12 months that my daughter really critically needed me, in those first critical 12 months of her life, I was able to fully show up for her and fully show up for myself. And that's what's most important, right? It's like on the plane. They tell you, put your oxygen mask on first. And that's part of it, getting professional help when you need it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be going to a therapist, tapping into the healthcare professionals that are already part of your tribe, part of your village, right? Your midwife, your doula, your pediatrician, your OB, any and everyone is part of your tribe now. That's going to help you raise this beautiful human being into the healthy, incredible person that they're meant to be. So I'm here for you. We're all collectively here for you. Congrats. Take it day by day. Take deep cleansing breaths. And if you don't get a shower, it's okay. Nobody's judging you. Hashtag no judgment. All right? Congrats. Enjoy the first year. It goes by quickly.
Wow. That was so impressive. Thank you so much, Dr. Hancock. As we segue into our next part, it's important for us to remember that nutrition is a key point to making sure that our new parents stay healthy for themselves as well as their newborns. Our next guest will talk about the role of nutrition and postpartum recovery and how to stay nourished while caring for the baby. After all, self-care is the best care.
Hi there. I'm so excited to be with you today to share a few tips on how you can stay nourished as a new mom. My name is Valerie Adjamine, and I am a women's health dietitian and the host of the Flourish Heights podcast. Nutrition plays such a key role before, during, and after pregnancy, and that goes to you, especially if you're breastfeeding or not. And today, I will be chatting about the role of nutrition in postpartum recovery, why it's so important to stay nourished, nutrients to consider, and tips to stay nourished while caring for your baby. Now, first things first, your body just spent the last few months growing a beautiful baby, and then you went through the labor and delivery process of bringing your baby into the world. Now, what does that mean for you? It means that your body has some healing to do, and you can honor your body's demanding needs by providing it with the proper nutrients. Not only does getting the proper nutrients help your body heal, but it can also help decrease the risk of postpartum depression, which affects so many. Being a new mom comes with a whole lot of responsibilities, lots of changes happening around this time. You're constantly on the go, not getting enough hours of sleep like, you would like, and the list goes on. So you really do need all the energy that you can get to care for yourself and also care for your baby. I want to share a few things to consider when it comes to nourishing your body during this very important time. All right, keep your body hydrated always. Whether you've had a C-section or not, the labor and delivery process puts your body through trauma and it really needs to heal. You've lost electrolytes and fluids and possibly a considerable amount of blood during birth. So it's really important to replenish your body. In order to help your body repair and recover, be sure to drink plenty of fluids and consider getting some electrolytes too. So beverages like coconut water and electrolyte drinks. This is my favorite. Do not cut out large food groups or skip out on meals intentionally, especially breakfast. What's more important is your body's recovery. Your body needs additional energy, AKA calories, in the postpartum period, even more than during pregnancy for recovery, especially if you're breastfeeding. You can start your day on the right foot with breakfast. If your mornings are too hectic or too crazy, do yourself a favor and prep breakfast the night before or days in advance. It will be really, really helpful. All right, prioritize protein. Protein-rich foods are important to help you recover from childbirth and keep your body strong. Now, meat is high in those necessary amino acids for tissue repair, as well as iron, zinc, and B vitamins, all those things that you need. You see a lot of options here: eggs, fish, poultry, these are really great. And plant-based foods like nuts and seeds and whole grains, they all do have protein, but it also has those other beneficial nutrients. Don't stop taking your prenatal vitamins, or you can consider a postnatal vitamin. There's been a lot of studies to show that nutrition can play a role in reducing your risk for postpartum depression. Nutrients like omega-3 fatty acid, folate, B12, iron, calcium, zinc deficiencies, these have all been linked to some mood disorders, and pregnancy really depletes your stores of many of these nutrients. So talk to your provider if you are in need of a supplement. Here's the next tip, a very colorful slide. Try anti-inflammatory foods. Anti-inflammatory foods include those high in omega-3 fatty acids, colorful fruits and vegetables, and whole grains. These are just a few. Foods rich in probiotics may also help fight inflammation by maintaining your gut health, which is also tied to a better mood. So we can never get enough of these foods. So how can you make nourishing your body a little easier, especially when you are constantly busy and on the go? You can batch cook, and you can get into freezing some of your foods. These are great for things like soups and stews. All you need to do is prepare your food once a week. But what if I told you that you can prepare all of your meals in just a couple hours and be done with cooking for the rest of the week? You can also keep staples on hand. You know, your canned and frozen fruits and vegetables. These are really great. Another way to make your life a little easier is to keep snacks on hand. Eating snacks between meals can help you feel great, give you energy, it stabilizes your blood sugar, and it can help with mood also. Last tip I have for you to make it a little easier for you to stay nourished is to get meals delivered, okay? It's absolutely okay to order out. Sometimes that's just what makes sense in the moment. So have your meals delivered to your home. That's a really great option. When things get hectic, eating should be the least of your worries. Have your family or friends or loved ones, if you have that support, you know, deliver some of these meals to your home. Anything that you can do to help you stay nourished, that's really, really important. And you are doing great. You can absolutely nourish your body during this time. All right, before we go, I have 2 action items for you. Number 1, how will you nourish properly every single day? Number 2, what are 1 to 2 foods you can add each day to your eating routine to stay nourished? Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you all the best on your journey. For more information on women's health nutrition, visit flourishheights.com and subscribe and listen to our podcast, the Flourish Heights Podcast.
Thank you so much, Valerie. On another note, breastfeeding can be one of the best ways that mom and baby can bond. Our next guest will talk about the many benefits of breastfeeding and what to expect and ensure you have a good experience.
Hi, I'm Cassetta Pringle, board-certified lactation consultant and co-founder of Mamatoto Village, a perinatal support organization here in Ward 7. Our work is centered around empowering parents and their families with the necessary tools to make the most informed choices in their maternity care, their parenting, and their lives. One of our goals is to protect your right to breastfeed. We recognize that there are substantial benefits to the infant, the parent, and society when parents breast or chest feed. Every parent has a human right to provide their own milk to their baby. Some parents face barriers when considering how best to act upon this right. These can range from having challenges with the mechanics of feeding, having adequate support at home, or having reasonable accommodations at work, at school, or at childcare facilities. Let's talk about a few tips for ensuring you know what to expect and that you get feeding off to a good start. Tip 1, establish your village. This is a group of people who support your right to feed. Be affirmed in your decision and avoid considering negative comments or allowing past experiences from someone else to sway you. Tip 2, Practice skin to skin and feed your baby early and often. The first few hours after birth sets the stage for success. Skin to skin releases hormones that trigger milk production, so keep your baby close to you if possible. Remember that your milk is just right for your baby, and so their bodies use it efficiently to boost immunity, mature the brain, and grow healthy bones and muscles. Your baby will want to drink often, and frequent feeding drains the breast and signals the body to replenish milk quickly. However, leaving milk in the breast signals the body to slow down with production. Tip 3, eat, sleep, and nurse. Nourish and hydrate yourself. Eating a well-balanced diet, maintaining hydration, and resting are keys to maintaining milk supply. Tip 4, be patient with yourself. Nursing is a learning process for you and your baby. Sometimes you'll get it exactly right. Other times will be more challenging. Take space to breathe and gather yourself. Share your feeling with someone and then try again. Tip 5, ask for help. Whether you are experiencing challenges, have questions about fitting nursing into your active lifestyle, or you just need general support, there are people ready to help. Call your midwife, your obstetrician, your baby's pediatrician, or your local lactation consultant. Here at Mamatoto Village, we offer the Milk Bar, a pre- and postnatal milk feeding support group moderated by lactation peer educators in our own community. Come and share your wisdom, create connections, increase your confidence, and overcome challenges. The Milk Bar is free to all breast and chest feeding parents and meets every Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. and every second and fourth Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Congratulations on your parenting journey.
Thank you so much, Cassetta. Now let's move on to a topic that's widely discussed and one of the most Googled words, vaccines or vaccinations. It's very important that we have this discussion because in order for mom and baby to both stay healthy, vaccines are a very important part of this to avoid sickness. Our next guest, Dr. Fabian Sandoval, will talk about why it's important to receive vaccines and stay healthy.
Hola, soy el Dr. Fabián Sandoval, soy el director de la clínica Emerson y el Instituto de Investigaciones. Hoy les quiero hablar un momento sobre la importancia de las vacunas en las mujeres embarazadas. Durante el transcurso del embarazo es un proceso muy complicado en el cual su cuerpo está teniendo muchos cambios. Parte de estos cambios también incluye el desarrollo adecuado del bebé. Parte de este desarrollo también incluye el hecho de que el bebé va a nacer con anticuerpos para protegerse. Tradicionalmente y muy común y muy importante es la lactancia en las madres al bebé, porque en este proceso, en los 2 primeros días, en los 3 primeros días más importante, incluso hasta la semana entera, la madre está pasando anticuerpos al bebé a través de su leche. Así que la leche materna es muy importante porque ahí van a empezar a darle la protección necesaria al bebé. Pero antes de eso, cuando están embarazadas, hay programas en el cual ustedes también deberían estar vacunadas, por ejemplo, contra la influenza, para que no tengan esos problemas de la gripe que es tan peligroso. Obviamente, ahora durante el COVID-19 también hay que vacunarse para que el bebé también tenga los anticuerpos necesarios. Y por último, les recomiendo también las vacunas que en unos estudios están haciendo parte de investigación clínica, el RSV, que es el virus respiratorio sincitial. Lo que ocurre aquí es estos 3, COVID, la influenza y el RSV, tienen unos patrones muy comunes en los bebés al nacer si se enferman. Los síntomas son la misma, la tosecita, la rinorrea, dolor de cuerpo que el bebé obviamente no va a poder decirles, pero estos síntomas son muy peligrosos y si no sabemos contra qué está vacunada la madre y el bebé, qué anticuerpos tiene, puede resultar el bebé hospitalizado sin razón alguna. Si ustedes lo vacunan, se vacunan ustedes madres, el bebé va a salir mejor, más protegido. Y ahora en estos momentos tan peligrosos es importante que ustedes entiendan por qué lo están haciendo. Las vacunas cuando se administran ahora, se administran de una forma segura para la madre y segura también para el bebé. Así que si ustedes tienen preguntas asociadas con las vacunas, deberían preguntárselo al pediatra y también a su ginecólogo que les está haciendo el seguimiento durante el embarazo. Todas las vacunas que se administran son programadas desde el momento en que cuando usted está embarazada hasta después de haber dado a luz, para manejar esos síntomas tan peligrosos y tan importantes para cuidarse usted y su bebé y también las personas en su familia. Así que les recomiendo que se vacunen, no les tenga miedo a las vacunas, que las vacunas cuando llegan al momento que se le administran a usted, se han investigado con mucho detalle y hemos buscado, identificado la mayoría de los efectos secundarios asociados. Si usted tiene algún problema inmunológico, esos sistemas inmunológicos, hay que hablar con sus médicos para que ellos sepan qué vacuna debería o no ser administrada a usted en su caso en particular, pero por lo general es importante recibir las vacunas que se les indican para que tengan una vida más saludable usted como madre al momento de lactar y también a su bebé, especialmente durante los 6 primeros meses de vida del bebé, en el cual necesita tanta atención para asegurar que esté sano y vivan tranquilos y disfruten su bebé. Así que por favor, vacúnense lo más pronto posible cuando les toque. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandoval. Robust discussion. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we've talked about prenatal. And one thing that we talked about during prenatal, and I'm sure moms have heard it everywhere, read while the baby's in utero. But did you know that the District of Columbia has a program where they will send your child one book per month until the age of 5 years old? Yes. Getting kids on the path of reading early is important, and to make sure that they're not behind by the time that they enroll, DC Library is going to give you more about that program.
When you sing, talk, and read with your baby, you help him get ready to learn when he goes to school. As a parent, grandparent, or someone who cares for a child, there are things you can do every day. Here are ways you can sing, talk, and read with your child. Sing to your baby while you dress him. Talk with him while you feed him. Be sure to make eye contact. Your child can learn from your expressions and words. Toddlers are always on the go. Make up songs while you play. Talk to your child to help him learn words and make sentences. Talk while on the bus. Point out objects that you see. Say the names of items you are buying. Let your child help fix dinner and talk to him about what you're cooking. Read with your child to help him get ready to learn to read and pay attention. Read at the doctor's office or playground. Talk about the sounds letters make. For babies, choose touch and feel books. Some have pages that are bumpy or furry. For toddlers, choose books with words that rhyme or make her jump or dance. As your child gets older, he is more interested in the world. Read books on topics like animals or famous people. When you sing, talk, and read with your little ones, they blossom. They have fun, they learn, and are ready to read when they go to school. Give your kids a smart start. I'm Sheila Stewart with Magic 102.3.
Thank you to our friends at DC Public Library. This is so much good information. Wow. I mean, we've talked about vaccines. We've talked about prenatal care. We've talked about lactation. We've talked about books and getting books per month. Wow. I think I'm talking to a group of super engaged, super parents. I know you all are super parents, but we all need a little help, right? Super parents. So guess what? Our next guest will talk about a great resource here in the DC area, the Greater DC Diaper Bank, as well as other resources that are available to you.
Hi, my name is Corinne Cannon. I am the founder and executive director at Greater DC Diaper Bank, and I am here to share my congratulations with all of you for becoming mothers and share a little bit about what we do. I think that motherhood and parenthood is one of the most amazing things in the entire world. And when I had my son about 12 years ago, I was really amazed by how hard it was to care for an infant. And so I started trying to figure out how other mothers and other families were doing this. And one of the things that I found out is that WIC funds and SNAP funds do not pay for diapers. And I thought, we got to fix this. So we started the Greater DC Diaper Bank on my son's first birthday. Today, we serve about 30,000 families across DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And I want you to know that if you have needs for your baby, there are resources for you. We work with about 15 organizations in DC, and then we also have emergency service hubs that provide diapers, formula, period products, incontinence supplies, strollers, cribs, all that you need to take care of that little one. So if you have needs, please reach out to the Office of Paid Family Leave or to us at greater dcdiaperbank.org. You can click on Get Help, and that will bring you to some of the organizations who can provide resources for you. Again, congratulations. We are so excited that there will be more new little ones, or there already are new little ones in this world, and we hope you are ready for it, and we're here to support you.
Thank you so much, Corinne. Now, we've been sitting, we've been working, we've been listening, we've been taking notes, we've been multitasking, but it's time for us to move. Yes, you heard me. Get up, because District Yoga is here to help us get the blood flowing with a quick session of prenatal yoga. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, District Yoga, am I going too fast or too slow? I'm going to turn it over to you, because this is what you do.
Namaste to one and all watching this video, and to all those who will be practicing with me shortly. Congratulations on your pregnancy. I hope this video finds you in the best of health and spirits, and welcome to this virtual baby shower brought to you by the DC Office of Paid Family Leave. We'll bring a little more awareness to our feet. You can take a moment to look at your feet, curl the toes away from the floor, and just notice how you're standing on the balls and heels of your feet. Shift a little back and forth. You can even gaze forward. You can intuitively arrive at the center between these two positions of oscillation. Also do that side to side. So you're making sure that you're standing on all the corners of your feet, the 4 corners. The arch feels nicely arched. And then here, we'll bend the knees, sit the hips, just a bit like sitting on a bar stool, so we can add more weight to the 4 corners of our feet. And press through those 4 corners to lift up. Imagine your roots to be in those 4 corners of the feet. As you exhale, chair pose. Inhale, rising up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. One more. Inhale. Take a moment. One hand to heart, one hand to the belly. Notice how by standing with strong roots, we're embodying the qualities, the strength of the mountain in mountain pose, Sadasana. Now let's build upon that stability. Now we'll face a wall. Again, if you don't have access to a wall, remember you can use a firm door, or you can also do this against a desk or something that's not going to move as we move. You could start with your palms pushing the wall or your support away, and feel free to walk your hands down or up as necessary. Now walk the feet away so the body makes an L shape, squaring hips, lengthen the spine, and have a soft micro bend in your knees. And slowly come up, walking your hands up and stepping forward. Take a moment, shake it off if you need to. Wiggle the body any way that feels good. And then let's go back to our wall supported down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Remember, you can step your feet as wide as you need to. Stable and accommodate the abdomen. Walk up to mountain pose. Take it off. And now, hands on the wall, pyramid pose. So step your right foot back. Keep your stance short enough so that both your heels can press down. Press through the four corners of your feet. Square your hips. And when you feel ready, start folding forward, hinging at the hip crease. Stay here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up. Let's switch sides. Left foot behind the right. Back foot 10 o'clock. Square hips. Straighten the legs. And take your time to tune into those foundations in your feet. And then on those foundations, fold forward. We come up, step through. Shake it off as needed. Now we'll come into a low lunge. So step your right foot back and drop the right knee to the floor or mat. Square hips. Press through your back heel. And then you could stay here in this low lunge. But if you feel steady and stable, engage your core to lift your back knee. And then you can also dip and lift the back knee. And complete. Lift up. Step through. Mountain pose. Now let's step the left foot back. Lower the knee. You may stay here in a low lunge or lift the knee, crescent lunge, or transition between these two. Keep your core engaged at all times. And step through. Relax, shake it off. Now, if you have access to a block, you can place that block between the inner thighs, or you can use your blanket. Press the inner thighs onto the blanket or block in between. Root into the four corners of your feet. Exhale, chair pose. If it's okay, you can hold your hands to heart. Some of us may try reaching arms up, but go with what feels stabilizing. And inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, chair. Inhale, mountain. That is complete. Put the block aside or bring it with you. We're going to do something called Malasana. It's a squat. So you can do it in many ways. Let me share all the options and then you can go ahead and try this. One option is against the wall. If you want to use your blanket or block, hold it between inner thighs. And try to walk your feet away from the wall with your back supported. Also traction the hips. And you can sit up to the level of knees in line with the hips. You can hold Malasana in the supported way. You can also do the same thing on an exercise ball if you're using one. Another way is if you have a stack of blocks or some firm pillows, even a small suitcase or something that can bear the weight of the body. You can place all of that and sit, leaning forward. Let your arms or elbows and the knees press against each other. Lengthen your spine. If you feel like you want to be supported for a few moments and then not supported for the rest, remove one of those blocks so you can sit sometimes and be off the blocks. And if you feel like you don't need any of these supports, you'd rather do it all by yourself and remove those blocks. Let's go ahead and set this up for about 30 seconds. The time is just a guideline. Feel free to stay there a little less longer if you feel like coming out earlier. Coming back to the mat. So we can settle down into a side lying Shavasana. At this point, feel free to take your practice to the bed. If you have a pregnancy pillow, just wrap it all around you and lie down on your left side. If you do not have access to a pregnancy pillow where you are, here are some other ways you can set this up. You can use a towel or blanket as a pillow. And then you can bring in a firm, long pillow like this bolster here. Place it behind your back. So when you lie down on your side, left side, this pillow will support your back. And then to make sure that there's ample space, the abdomen, you can pad up or fill that space between the legs with some folded blankets, even some pillows. And then lie down on your left side. Your left arm could be stretched out in front of you. Right hand could be on the belly, on the body. And allow the weight of the body to be surrendered to gravity. The body fall heavier and heavier. Just be like there's no other place or nowhere else to go at this moment than being right here, right now. Perfect, just as it is. When the resting here feels complete, slowly begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness to your body's presence. Then perhaps pressing the top hand to the mat or bed. Carefully rise up. Come into a seated position. Joining palms in prayer. Observe all the rewards of the practice. For all that, maybe thank ourselves for all the efforts we put in. And can we thank all those forces that facilitated this practice for us today? Maybe bow to the light within. Maybe bow to the light of all the teachings of yoga and the teachers through whom we receive them. And maybe bow to each other. We're bowing to the togetherness as a community. The light in me honors the light in you. And thank you so very much for sharing your practice with me through this recording today. Also, thanks to the DC Office of Paid Family Leave for this opportunity to share the teachings of yoga with all of you. I wish you a very peaceful rest of this day. And should you have any questions for me, please direct them to jasmine@yogadistrict.com, JASMINE @YOGA District, DISTRICT.com. Feel free to follow us on social media like Instagram. We go by the name Yoga District. Once again, thank you so much. Take care. Peace be to all.
Whew. Woo! Man, I'm tired. Well, I'm not. Blood flowing. I'm feeling good. Thank you to Aparna Sadananda and our friends at Yoga District for such a great guided yoga practice. I mean, you guys, we have gone through it all. We've talked about how to get diapers and other resources. We've talked about the benefits that you're eligible for. We've talked about books. All of you super parents, you have done it. You have gotten here, and we're just so glad. And you know what? It's a wrap. It's a wrap for this year's DC Citywide virtual baby shower. And we're just so excited to serve you. We want you to know that if you have any questions about filing your prenatal leave claim, any questions from the paid family leave benefits, just go to our website. It's www.dcpaidfamilyleave.dc.gov or call us at 202-899-3700. On behalf of the Office of Paid Family Leave, we want to thank you so much for joining us and have a great day. Bye-bye, super moms.